Beloved, open your eyes and open your ears, for you stand at the crossroads of eternity. We live in a time when ancient prophecies are not merely words written on parchment, but thunder rolling across the skies of our generation. The dragon has risen from the shadows. The Temple Mount stands at the heart of the storm. And ground zero, the very center of the end-time shaking, is not just a place, but a call for your life. The question is not what will happen, but who will you be when it does? From the moment the gates of Eden closed behind Adam and Eve, the dragon, that ancient serpent, has slithered through the story of humanity, always seeking to devour what God has declared good. You see, this dragon is not a myth or a symbol buried in dusty scrolls. He is real, cunning, and more determined than ever to steal, kill, and destroy the very seed of promise within you. The dragon prowls through the shadows of your mind, whispering lies that you are unworthy, that your past disqualifies you, that your prayers are empty echoes. He wraps his coils around your faith, hoping you'll stay numb and distracted while eternity moves like a storm all around you. He is not just after nations and kingdoms. He is after your destiny, your calling, your very identity as a child of the living God. But you, beloved, were not born to be devoured. You were not redeemed by the blood of the Lamb to be dragged back into chains. You were born to stand in the light, to lift your head, to rise with the authority of heaven coursing through your veins. You were born to crush the serpent under your feet. That ancient promise in Genesis, that the seed of the woman would crush the serpent's head, is not just about Messiah. It is about every son and daughter who bears his spirit. The dragon may roar, but the Lion of Judah roars louder through you. Let me tell you a simple story that reveals the nature of this battle. There was once a young man who had struggled for years with hidden sin, a secret compromise that slithered into his life like a serpent in the garden. He would lift his hands in worship on Sunday, but by Monday night, the dragon would whisper that he was too far gone, that his prayers were pointless. One night, weary and ready to surrender to the darkness, he fell to his knees. In that midnight hour, the Spirit whispered, "You are not prey, you are a warrior. Rise and fight." He confessed, repented, and chose to expose the lies to the light. It was not easy. The battle did not end in a single moment. But from that night on, he crushed the serpent's head daily by standing in truth. The dragon lost his hold because a child of God remembered who he was. Beloved, you are standing at the ground zero of your own battlefield. The dragon wants to numb you with distractions, tempt you with illusions of comfort, drown you in the noise of the world so you forget you were created for eternity. But you are called to stand alert, clothed in the armor of light. The battle is not just somewhere far away. It is in your choices, your thoughts, your words. The shaking of the end times is not to terrify you, but to awaken you to the authority you already have in Messiah. So rise up, stand firm. Let the dragon find no foothold in your life. You are the living testimony that the seed has triumphed and the serpent is under your feet. If the dragon is the deceiver who hunts your calling, then the Temple Mount is the battleground for your heart, the holy ground that must be guarded at all costs. The Temple Mount in Jerusalem has been the most contested piece of real estate on earth for thousands of years because it represents the place where heaven meets earth, where the presence of God dwells among his people. But what many forget is that the true Temple Mount is no longer built of stone and mortar alone. It is your very life. You are the living temple, the dwelling place of the Most High. And just as the enemy seeks to desecrate the physical Temple Mount, so he fights fiercely to defile your heart, to set up idols in secret places, to make your life a divided house. The great danger of the last days is not just persecution or political shaking, it is a defiled temple. The enemy knows that if he can fill your inner courts with compromise, with unforgiveness, with hidden sins and little foxes that spoil the vineyard, he can quench the fire of God's glory within you. He doesn't need to make you deny your faith outright. He just needs to fill your temple courts with clutter so there is no room for the King of glory to reign fully in you. This is why the Lord himself, when he walked this earth, went straight to the temple and drove out the money changers and merchants who had turned his father's house into a den of thieves. He overturned the tables and cleansed the courts because he was zealous for pure worship. So too, he comes to you now, not with condemnation, but with love that burns like fire, to overturn anything in your life that does not belong in his holy dwelling. I remember a woman who had served the Lord for years, known by everyone as devoted and faithful. Yet deep inside, she had allowed bitterness to take root, a small offense that grew into an idol of unforgiveness. She tried to serve and worship, but her prayers felt empty, her joy stolen. One night in the stillness, she saw her heart like the Temple Mount, cluttered with tables of anger and resentment. She wept as she heard the gentle voice of the Spirit. Let me cleanse my temple. Give me every table, every idol, every wound. And she did. She forgave. She confessed. She let the Spirit sweep through her courts like a rushing wind. From that moment on, her worship overflowed again, pure and undivided. The glory returned to her life. Beloved, your heart is sacred ground. The Temple Mount stands at the center of the battle for your soul. Will you let Messiah overturn what does not belong? Will you drive out every idol that steals your affection? The King does not share his throne. He wants every chamber of your heart, every hidden place, every secret thought. When your life is cleansed, you become a blazing altar in a world growing darker by the hour. Let your heart be the Temple Mount that no dragon can defile, a sanctuary where his glory dwells unshaken until he comes again. If the dragon is the deceiver who seeks to devour your calling, and the Temple Mount is the battleground of your heart that must remain pure, then ground zero is where the shaking of the age collides with the choices you make each day. It is where prophecy is not some distant word, but a living, burning reality in the soil of your life. Ground zero is the place where the war becomes personal, where you decide whether you will stand or whether you will sleep while the hour grows late. You see, the shaking of the end times is not just about earthquakes, wars, or rumors of wars. The greatest shaking happens inside you. Heaven is asking, when everything is shaken, will you still be found standing on the rock that cannot be moved? The enemy wants nothing more than to lull you into spiritual slumber. If he can't devour you outright, and if he can't desecrate your temple, he will try to convince you that your life doesn't matter in the grand scheme of prophecy. He will tell you that you are too small, too ordinary, to make a dent in the darkness. But that is a lie as old as the garden. The truth is, ground zero is not just Jerusalem or some news headline. Ground zero is you. Your prayers, your faith, your obedience, your quiet stand for truth when no one is watching. You are a walking earthquake in the enemy's camp when you decide to stand firm. Every time you choose to forgive, every time you resist temptation, every time you speak life instead of death, the earth shakes in the realm of the Spirit. I once met a young woman who had every reason to give up. She was surrounded by darkness in her home, battling addiction and despair that had plagued her family for generations. She heard sermons about prophecy and thought, what does any of this have to do with me? But one night, in her desperation, she cried out, God, use me. Let my life count for something more than this cycle of pain. From that moment, her ground zero shifted. She chose to get clean, to forgive the father who abandoned her, to pray for her family instead of cursing them. One by one, her siblings came to faith. Her home became an altar. She became a sign and wonder in her neighborhood. The same street that once smelled of hopelessness now echoes with worship. One life, standing at ground zero, changed everything. Beloved, the same Spirit that raised Messiah from the grave lives in you. When the shaking comes, and it will come, you were never meant to be swept away in fear. You are meant to rise as an unshakable witness that the kingdom is near. You are the watchman on the wall, the warrior on the front lines, the intercessor who holds back darkness with your prayers. This is not the hour to hide or to bow to fear. This is the hour to stand. Let the ground beneath you tremble, but let your faith be immovable. For the time is coming when the King will split the skies, and may he find you at your post, shining, unwavering, and ready to overcome. You were born for such a time as this. Stand your ground, beloved, for your ground zero is holy. When you understand that the dragon prowls to devour your calling, that the Temple Mount must be kept pure as the dwelling place of God's glory, and that ground zero is where prophecy meets the soil of your daily life, then you must embrace the final truth. You are called to overcome and stand. This is not a time for half-hearted faith or lukewarm devotion. This is the hour when the people of God must rise as the unshakable remnant who will not bow their knee to fear, who will not trade their crown for comfort, who will not fall asleep while the world shakes and eternity draws near. The shaking is not meant to break you, but to reveal you, to show that what is of heaven in you cannot be moved. This call is not for the faint of heart. The word says, "To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne." Overcoming is not a passive hope, but a daily stand, a choice to cling to truth when the dragon hisses lies, to hold fast to holiness when temptation knocks, to speak life when the world spits death. You stand not in your strength, but in his. You overcome not by your might, but by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. When you stand, you remind the enemy that he is already defeated. A young father I once met understood this in the deepest way. He worked long hours just to put bread on the table. His marriage was under attack. His teenage son had run away, angry and addicted. Every voice told him to give up, to let his family go, to stop praying, to stop hoping. But one night, in a small corner of his dark living room, he fell to his knees and whispered, "God, I will not quit. Even if I lose everything, I will stand on your promise." He began to speak blessing over his wife while she slept. He fasted and prayed for his son, declaring that no dragon would have his family. It took time, but one night his runaway son called him, broken and tired. That boy came home, gave his life to the Lord, and now stands beside his father, preaching the gospel. One father's stand became the turning point for an entire household. This is what it means to overcome. Beloved, the days will grow darker, but the remnant will shine brighter. Let the dragon roar. You stand in the roar of the Lion of Judah. Let kingdoms shake. You stand on the rock that cannot be moved. Let compromise seduce. You stand pure and faithful, a living Temple Mount. Let ground zero rumble under your feet. You stand rooted in the one who holds the universe in his hand. The call to overcome is not only for the mighty, but for the willing, the watchful, the devoted. Heaven does not measure you by your eloquence, your status, or your wealth. Heaven measures you by your stand. So rise, warrior of the Most High. Your prayers echo louder than the dragon's roar. Your obedience dismantles strongholds more powerful than any army. You carry the flame of his glory into a world gasping for hope. Stand and overcome, beloved, for the King is coming, and he will find his faithful ones clothed in light, unshaken, crowned with victory. And when that day comes, you will hear those words your soul longs to hear. Well done, good and faithful servant. You stood, you overcame. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Beloved, this is your hour. This is your fight. This is your victory. Let the dragon roar, for his time is short. Let the Temple Mount stand, for his glory will return. Let ground zero blaze, for the King is coming. Now rise, stand watch, stand firm, stand pure, and let the fire of heaven fall upon your life. May you be found ready when the sky split and the King of glory returns. Amen.